All right. Hello, my name is Angela Miller. I'm a director with Tupperware, and we are going to start our series on Party Like a Pro. I'm super excited about this series, there's a lot of information in this series that we haven't talked about in other ways. So very, very excited to share this with you. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, there we go. All right, so part one of this series is getting started. I've got several quotes that you're gonna see in this series, and the very first one is, do the things you fear and the death of fear is certain. And I absolutely love that quote, because really what it's talking about is just the fact that if you do things that you're afraid of, then you're going to overcome those fears. And so I really like that particular quote. So first and foremost, this series, the first part of this series, we're talking about those fears and how we're going to overcome those fears to have successful Tupperware parties. One thing you need to know is that all speakers, even professional ones, they experience some amount of fear. So don't worry, you're absolutely not alone. The secret is to take that fear and make it work for you instead of work against you. So a couple of different ways that you can channel the nervousness that happens when you are preparing for a Tupperware party. Number one, arrive 30 minutes before your party to give yourself plenty of time to get set up and to really feel prepared. This will also give you an opportunity to talk to the hostess ahead of time and really help her to feel more comfortable with the party as well. Greet each guest as they arrive. This helps you get to know the guests and to help break down some of those barriers. Let your hostess know that you're going to take charge of answering the door. That's going to take some pressure off of her and give you that opportunity to talk to and meet with the guests ahead of time. This will also give her a chance to finish up with whatever she's working on to get ready for the party and to get her guests the drinks and what have you that they need when they arrive. Allowing them all to socialize, which is exactly what they're there to do. They're there to socialize and they're there to hear about Tupperware. Take some deep breaths, letting air out nice and slow. This is going to really help to calm you. And the reason that we have that is because oftentimes when we start to be fearful or be worried, we tend to take too much air in and we don't actually release enough. So just take a nice big breath in, fill your belly, and then just let it out nice and slow. And it's going to help to calm and relax you and help slow down your processes. Stretch your neck, your arms, and your legs. And that may seem silly and it may not seem like you're not running a race, but really, as those anxiety levels rise in your body, everything can tense up. So if you stretch out and make sure you're ready, it's going to help keep everything nice and calm. Set a goal for the party and focus on the success of that goal. Now, this should be done ahead of time with your hostess, as well as you should do this on your own. When you do this ahead of time with your hostess, this is going to help your hostess to have a goal in mind for where she wants this party to go. And communicating that goal with you will allow both of you to be able to know what to expect and what to strive for during this party. Then you should also have a goal in mind for yourself. What do you want to accomplish at this party? Are you wanting to date more parties? Are you wanting to recruit someone new? Do you want to sell a piece of cookware? What are your goals for your party? Set those in advance and then focus your party around your goals, okay? And in turn, it's going to help the hostess meet her goals as well. Why do people fear talking in front of people? You know, this is a really great question. I think too often we just don't sit down and think about it. But here are 8 of the most common fears that people have when it comes to talking in front of people. Saying or doing something to embarrass themselves. Saying or doing something that will ultimately damage their career or reputation. Fear of making a fool of themselves. Fear of forgetting what they're going to say. Fear of what others will see them at. Fear that others will see them as lacking. Fear of rejection, fear that no one will respond, and fear that someone will question them and they won't know the answer. Those sound pretty familiar? I know I've had almost all of those fears, probably all of them. So let's just take a minute to understand fear. If you have a fear of talking in front of people, then the first thing you have to ask yourself is why? Why am I afraid to talk in front of people? What is it that I feel is going to happen when I talk in front of some people? For most people, fear comes from self-made expectations or worry. Yep. Things that we have put in our own heads that don't really exist. Okay. Research shows that 75% of the things that we worry about never even happen. All right. So first and foremost, all the different fears that you have, take 75% of them and they're not even going to happen. All right. So for the other 25%, we want to make sure we know how to combat those as well. Right. All right. So for example, fear one. What happens if I start my party and I forget everything I was going to say? This has happened to me before. The reality of it is that, first off, if you practice at home using your products and consistently hold Tupperware parties, it's very unlikely that it's going to even happen. And if it does happen, there's options, right? You can have notes handy to help you. Index cards can be a lifesaver. And we're going to talk about how to use those index cards here in just a minute. So here's a couple of tips, right? So we were talking about those index cards. So have some available to help you out, help you get back on track. I like to use the colored index cards, right? Where it's got the pink and the blue and the green and the yellow and the, I don't know, I think it's purple or something, right? And so I use the different colored index cards, and then on each color, I put some highlighted topics of what I'm trying to talk about. So this isn't like word for word what you're supposed to say, nothing like that. This is just basic concepts, right? So maybe one color is all about my products, right? So for one card, I would have, you know, Fridge Smart and 3 things I want to say about the Fridge Smart. And the next one would be about the breakfast maker and 3 things I want to say about the breakfast maker. So it's just things that are going to trigger my thoughts, make me think about it, make me remember where I was at. You know, maybe the green is going to be talking about the opportunity, and I have some questions highlighted there that I want to talk about. Maybe the blue is holding Tupperware parties, right? And reminding me, you know, to talk about the host gift special and to really emphasize how high of a value that is for such a low cost when you hold just an average Tupperware party. And what does it take to get there, right? That $500 and 2 datings, or $600 and 2 datings, depending on what level you're at. Maybe I have one in that same blue color for my dating game, because I want to remember all the different things I need to do for the dating game, right? And so because it's in the blue section, I know automatically that it's about holding a Tupperware party. Because it's in the pink, I know automatically that it's about products. If it's in the green, I know automatically it's about recruiting, right? So whatever it is, if it's color-coded, it just makes it a lot easier. And if I've already gotten through the products and I'm on the host stuff, I don't want to have to sift through all the product cards to get to the host cards. I want to be able to just flip right to those host cards. So planning in advance and planning ahead makes it super easy for me to overcome any obstacles that might happen and might come into my way. Tape or label the features and benefits right onto the products themselves, especially while you're new and you're new for at least a year. You can get away with this. Just tape it right onto the products, and you can literally read right off of the product what is the feature and the benefits of this product. You can even make it an interactive game that you can play with your party guests. You can pass the products out, have them hold them throughout the product or throughout the party. And then as each person, or as you move on to that product, have that person read off what it says about the features and benefits. And maybe you have the price on there and the page number, right? You can have whatever information you want on there, and then your party guests are doing a lot of that in the party for you. This gets them involved, it keeps them engaged, and they have fun too, all right? You can ask questions or even have them ask questions. If you had a question about this product, what would it be, right? So encourage them to participate, because that participation is going to keep them engaged and it's going to help get them more excited about the products. Not to mention, when they're holding the Tupperware products, it's a lot harder for them to want to give it up. They want to keep it forever, All right. You can build your display table as you move through the product. So if you start your party with an empty table and you pull out of the bag and you just start passing products out to all of your party guests, what you're going to do is you're going to literally have them talk about the product that they have in their hand, and then you make it part of your display when you're done with that product. So at the end of the party, you now have a beautiful display of all the products that you talked about at the party. All right, so you can keep things very simple, very streamlined, keep everyone involved, and you don't have to memorize everything. It can be something that you all learn together. Be prepared. I really like to have some questions prepared in advance because just like everybody else, I get nervous and I get fearful and I get blank brain. And when that happens, I have my questions that I can fall back onto. And these questions are perfect because what they do is they really help me take that moment that I need to regather my thoughts. So one question that I like to ask is, what would you use this for? With our Tupperware products, this is a great question because everybody has family recipes. Everybody has different things that they keep in their kitchen. Some people like lots of vegetables. Some people have more things in their pantry. Some people would use this product in their bathroom and not in their kitchen. So whatever the case is, by asking such a simple question, what would you use this for? Your party guests are getting engaged in the party. They are finding how this product is going to specifically fit their needs, all right? And it's going to encourage other people that are listening to think of ways that they would use the product as well. Maybe they didn't even think about what that person is going to use it for, and now they really need it because, gosh, that is a great solution to that problem. How could this save you time? This is a really good question too. It makes people really think, how can this product that you're showing me save me time at home? Because time is such a valuable asset that we all just don't have enough of. If you can show them how the Tupperware products are going to save them time and money, it's going to sell the products. All right. So again, these are great questions that are going to get your guests at your party engaged in the party, and it's going to really help keep that chatter down because as women, right, we all like to talk, and so we need to find ways to bring that chatter down, and the chatter is going to come down the more engaged they are in the product or in the party. Okay. All right. Fear number 2. What happens if I do something to embarrass myself? The reality of this one is unless something major happens, chances are you're going to be the only one that knows it even happened. There's been many times when I didn't say or do exactly what I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, but at the end of the day, nobody even knew that I missed it. So it's really not that big a deal. You're honestly the only one that notices. If you were to do something more extreme than that, you can simply acknowledge it and move on. So, for example, maybe you burp, right? You're talking, and all of a sudden a burp comes out. It happens. You can say, oh, excuse me, right? And move right on. The main thing to remember is that you want to take whatever the situation is and you want to take it out of their mind. You want to move past it and re-engage back into the party. All right, so be sure to stay in control of yourself and the situation as best as possible. And regardless of what happens, turn it into a benefit. Like, for example, if I drop a piece of Tupperware, instead of stressing about it and apologizing and these things, I simply would say, oh my gosh, this is exactly why I sell Tupperware and not crystal. Everybody gets a good laugh and we all move on. So if you immediately address the situation and handle it, it's going to neutralize it. And then it's going to pull it out of your guests' thoughts so you can move on. They're not going to just sit there and dwell on it when you move right past it. Okay. So again, it happens and it's not a big deal. You just got to move on. What happens if I make a fool of myself? This is very, very common fear, but here's what you need to think about. What could you possibly do that would make you look foolish? You probably won't even be able to think of anything that's within reason, okay? And if you do, plan for it. It's that simple. Just plan for it. So consider a worst case scenario, right? So For example, what if I slur my words, right? What's the plan there? Well, the plan would be to what? Yep, just say it again, right? And this can happen when you're nervous. Maybe you don't enunciate quite as well as you'd wanted. Not a big deal. Just say, oh, excuse me, and move on, right? What if you say the wrong thing? What would you do? Do you get all flustered and frustrated? Absolutely not. If you say the wrong thing, just excuse yourself and say, oh, I meant, or I should have said, right? Or scratch that, try again, do over. And all that's going to happen is really it's going to add an element of fun, and people are going to appreciate and recognize the fact that when you're wrong, you correct yourself, you admit it, and you move forward. All right? And what if a mentionable noise comes out of your mouth, right? Just like we talked about, if a burp comes out, what do? Simply excuse yourself and move on. All right? You do have some other options as well, okay? So regardless of what the what if is, and it could be anything, I'm sure you guys can think of many, many more, you have options. One, you can ignore it, look the party guests right in the eye, and simply move on, right? Pause, acknowledge what happened, and move on. Call a break, use the restroom, and privately gain control. And I've had to do this before, maybe my insides weren't cooperating with my outsides, and I had to just say, okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. If you need to step outside or get a drink, there's some snacks in the kitchen, and we're gonna come back here at 6:25. Okay, so you're giving them a time for them to come back. You're giving a time to yourself so that you know how much time you have, and you're going to get started right at 6:25. Simply go to the restroom, take a nice deep breath, calm yourself back down, use the restroom if that's what you need to do, stretch out, whatever it is you need to do to gain back control of yourself, simply do that. And then when you come back, nobody's even going to know that you had a problem because you handled the situation. Use a question to divert and regroup your thoughts. So here again, this is where you can use those questions to help you gain control of yourself again, okay? So if you are very nervous and you're having a hard time breathing you need to just have a minute to take a breath, ask a question that's going to get them engaged. What would you use this product for? That's going to make them think. Or something like the Fridge Smart. Maybe you say, what fruits and vegetables do you have in your kitchen right now? Or with the Modular Mates, what kind of things do you have in your pantry that maybe the bugs like, or the mice like, or whatever, right? It's going to make them start to think, what products do I have? And there might be a moment of silence as everybody starts to think, and it's going to give you a chance to just take a breath. And you can smile, and you can even breathe while you smile, and it's totally fine. And then when you're ready, you can talk again, all right? So don't panic, because you know what? You have options. Remember, fear doesn't exist anywhere except in your mind. Isn't that a crazy thought? As much as we get nervous and our anxiety levels go up, it's all in our mind, and we have to remember that so that we can move forward from it. So take a minute and answer these questions about your Tupperware parties. What are the immediate gains of doing a Tupperware party? What do you think those would be? Maybe money, maybe friends. I bet you can think of a few more. What are the expectations of your hostess? What does she expect from you? What does she want you to do? Make her party guests feel welcome? Help her to earn her free products? What else can you think of? There's a lot. There's a lot of different options there. What are the expectations of your party guests? To gain knowledge about the products, maybe? What else can you think of? The answers to these questions are going to help motivate you to make a plan and continue to improve your presentations. And here's the thing. You don't have to be perfect right out of the gate. Still to this day, I've been selling for 8 or 9 years now, and still to this day, I always try every single party to think of the answers to these questions. How can I improve this party? How can I make it just a little bit better? What can I do that's going to help this hostess feel more comfortable and to have a more successful party? And I constantly am trying to learn and experiment with new things to improve the party. So whether you're new or you've been with Tupperware for 25 years, there's always room for improvement. So just get out there and do it and have fun. Think big, start small, and begin now. Set yourself up for success on a small scale and build on it. So what that means is don't expect that your party's going to be perfect the first time you've ever done a Tupperware party. Think of one goal, one thing that you want to be successful in this party, and aim for that goal. Put your mind on it and focus on it, and really strive to make whatever that one thing is the best you can do on that one thing. The rest of it will come. And every single party, if you do one different thing a little bit better every time, your parties will continue to grow and they will continue to get better. Your sales will get higher and you'll book more parties, because not only are you having successful parties, but you're constantly improving them. And as you have guests and hostesses that continue to come back to your party over and over and over again, they're going to see not only are you a fun and energetic Tupperware lady, but you're also continuing to improve on what you're doing. You're getting better and better, and you're always trying to find a way to make the party better for not only you, but also your hostesses and your guests. So keep that in mind. Set yourself up for success on a small scale. Celebrate those successes and build on it. All right, overcoming fear. It's one thing to know what that fear is. It's another to overcome it. So there are 3 steps to help you understand your fear and to begin to overcome them. 1, identify your fear and be specific. All right? Make sure you say, the reason I'm scared to go to this Tupperware party today is ... What is it specifically that you're afraid of? Identify the worst case scenario, right? So I'm afraid of doing this Tupperware party because, and the very worst thing that would happen is, okay? And then plan for it and be prepared. And if you plan for it and you're prepared for it, you're going to be fine, because you'll be able to overcome whatever obstacles get in your way. And remember, the reality is most of the things that we're worried about won't ever even happen. But if you plan for it, it's good either way. And ask yourself, so what? So what if it happens? Right? I'll fix it at the next party and it'll be fine. So no worries. Just have fun and shoot for those goals. So I do have an activity page. Oh, it went away. Come back. Come back. I do have an activity page for you, and for whatever reason, it's not showing on my screen. So let me pull that up real quick. But this activity is going to help you to identify and overcome your fears. So let me... All right, so here is part 1 worksheet. It's a little slow.